Matilda, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm
I
so
mean,
excited.
I know. I mean, we can finally talk about it. Welcome to Derry. I mean, you were probably keeping like you. There was probably like times where you just couldn't say anything. And now you're able. Now episodes are coming out. How does it feel that episodes are finally coming out?
It feels really exciting. It's been such a long time coming with this one. Like I remember doing the audition, I think about 3 years ago. And it's kind of wild to think of how long this project has been a part of my life and such an important part. And now to like be able to share it with everyone else and see people's reactions and like see people get invested in the story is just really very cool.
Absolutely. And for the audition process, did you audition for March?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the audition, I auditioned for both Marge and Lily.
Okay.
And there was one scene for each character. And yeah, I just remember thinking Marge was like like so fun. She I kind of remember like almost imagining that I had just had like 5 cups of coffee and was like very caffeinated because I feel like that's a little bit who Marge is. She's like very like overactive and so that was like just very fun to play with. And in the script it said she wore cat eye glasses. So I
Hmm.
found these like old glasses from when I was like 7 from Claire's or something. And and it was just really fun to yeah.
Now, I'm interested about this because episodes are rolling out on HBO Max, right? And people are meeting Marge, and the reception's been very interesting about this character, right? Because
Yeah.
and I kind
Yeah.
and I kind of want to know, like, how did the character read? Like when you're reading the script for it, like, did it read how people are kind of perceiving things because, or did it read more like she was misunderstood and she really was a nice person? Like, I'm just curious about that. You know what I mean?
That's a great, thank you for asking that question. I've been very like it's been very interesting to see the response. And I have to say, I'm actually not really surprised at all. I was sort of expecting it. Um, because I think Marge, she is, she represents a part of so many people that we don't like about ourselves. Like this insecurity and this like desire to fit in and change yourself to fit in. And it can be painful. It can be really hard to empathize with that.
Yeah.
And obviously, she's doing like really messed up things. I think if you look closely into the character, you can see that it's all coming from like this vulnerable place of love and like she just wants to be loved, which is like the most human thing ever. But to answer your question, in the script, I I'm with people. Like, I had a really hard time empathizing with Marge when I read the script. I was like, what the heck? Like, she's such a bad friend. Like, how do I? She's doing such awful things. How am I supposed to empathize with this
How am I supposed
person?
to feel sorry for her? Yeah.
Yeah, how am I supposed to feel sorry for her? She's a terrible friend. She's doing all these horrible things. Like, I hate her. What? And then I was like, whoa, okay. Why am I having this reaction? Like, why am I so hateful of this character? Why am I having a hard time empathizing with her? And I was like, oh, wait, it's because I relate to her. Like, I'm also insecure and I'm also struggling with these things. So, like, just being able to look for the soul of the character.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of conversations with our acting coach, Ben Perkins, about it. And we kind of like were able to craft a backstory, a very personal story. I think she's dealt with a lot of neglect in her personal life and a lot of feeling like she needs to prove herself to be worthy of love and acceptance.
Mhm.
and I was able to find a lot of empathy for her. And now she's like one of my favorite characters of all time, and
Mhm.
I love her.
And it's interesting too because you brought up a lot of things about the growth of like the fact that it's an episode, like weekly drops, right, of episodes, right? People can
Yeah.
kind of think about is there going to be like a change, you know what I mean? Is there going to be a growth, right? So that's, I feel like that's also interesting too, right? Where you play these misunderstood characters that are doing these things that no one agrees of, seeing the week to week kind of development of the storyline is different, right, than it all dropping all at once.
Totally. You're seeing people's reactions in real time to the arc of the character.
Yeah.
When, like when you have a movie, it's like, okay, well, you can't really respond until you've seen the whole story. But
Yes,
I think that's such a good point. It is very interesting.
it
Yeah.
is. And I kind of want to know, you brought up the glasses. I kind of want to know the kind of mindset of transporting back in time, going back to the 60s. Like, I mean, there's a lot, right? There's the aesthetic, there's the music, like, there's so many things. Like, what was that like for you? Maybe that first couple of weeks on set, not diving into Derry, diving into the 60s.
Oh my gosh, it was the coolest thing ever. It was awesome. I remember like being just very excited off the bat when I heard that the show was set in 1962
Mhm.
because like such a cool historic backdrop, like what was going on in the American culture at that time. So fascinating. And then just like the culture of the 60s, like, the very carefree kind of energy mixed with a horror show, I just thought that like juxtaposition
Mhm.
would be awesome, and it is, in my opinion. So yeah, like being on set, I remember just like being going to my costume fitting for the first time and trying on the 60s wardrobe it just transports you. And it was so cool to see all of the like inspiration pictures that, our great costume designer Lewis had pulled. Like the walls were just covered in like different different 60s outfits and stuff like that. And like our great hair designer Deborah Johnson, she pulled so many cool inspo for such cool inspo for Marge's hair. Like I remember there was this picture of this girl with like a bob and this kind of like very 60s look, and I was like, I guess that's gonna be what I'm wearing for the next year. And yeah, it's really nice because like something I love about Marge is she is such a character
Yes.
that like I could just kind of be free in that. Like I didn't have to really care about like, "Ugh, do I look good?" I'm like, no, I don't.
Mhm.
That's the point. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
I could just kind of like lose myself in the 60s look and the character, and it was really fun.
You bring up a very interesting point, and it kind of has to do with my next question. It's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. You know what I mean? You're a pro. You're right.
We're on the same wavelength.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because there's Marge at school, so there's like the school scenes, and then there's
Yeah.
the kids of Derry, their worst nightmares is like coming to haunt them, basically that stuff, right? The horror movie stuff. Did it feel like sometimes you were working on two different shows? Because it's like they're like it's interesting, right? Or did it all feel like part of
Yeah.
it? Welcome to Derry.
No, that's a great question. No, it totally felt like two different shows. It felt like it felt like a bunch of different shows actually, because like, there are so many storylines in the
Yeah.
show.
Hmm.
And like I kind of was so separate from the adult storylines that I would like walk into the soundstage and see a set for the adults, and I was like, whoa, this is a whole other world that I have no idea about. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna trust Andy. I'm gonna trust that it's all gonna come together and form something. Because yeah, like when you're filming a really kind of more campy, like upbeat 1960s scene with in this school, that has a very different vibe than a horror sequence when you're like really traumatized or
Hmm.
experiencing something really just painful and
Yes.
scary.
Hmm.
So, yeah, the energy, there were a lot of different vibes
Hmm.
and energies. And like I said, I was like, how is this gonna possibly come together to form this story? Like,
Hmm.
how is this gonna work? But I think it does. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Another really good segue to my next question. It's perfect segue. Perfect answers, perfect segues. I mean, you talked about kind of
we love it.
crazy things happening. By the time this interview is out, you know, some stuff happens to Marge. Specifically, some stuff happens to her eye. And,
Yeah.
you know, you are eventually going to just, wear an eye patch. So I just kind of want to know, like, what was that whole scene like? What were the conversations with Andy about that? Like, what was it like wearing the eye patch? Like, what can you tell me about that whole sequence?
Yeah, oh my God. I'm so glad I get to talk about this.
Yes.
It was it was so fun. It's just I love how kind of ridiculous and like funny the horrors of this show are. Like there's something really hilarious about Marge's eyes popping out of her head. So that was and also like disgusting and terrifying. So I as a person have a weird thing about eyes. I get very uncomfortable when I see people like put their fingers in their eyes or it just makes me like
Oh my
ugh.
goodness. Were you even able to watch the scene then?
So it was very hard to watch the scene.
So-
It's really hard to watch the scene. And it was also very uncomfortable for me on set because I was having to like touch my eyes a lot.
yeah.
But the conversation with Andy was so exciting because, Marge's deepest insecurity is her glasses and her eyes and the way that her glasses magnify her eyes.
Mhm.
I think it's been something she's always been made fun of, and it's it kind of for her, I think, is like the thing that symbolizes that she's separate from everyone else. Like
Mhm.
it's the thing that like makes her a loser in her eyes, you know?
Mhm.
It's like the thing that keep like one of the physicalization of like the separation from her and the patty cakes and why she'll never fit in and all that. So already it's like there's like a lot going on with Marge in her eyes. And so I think it makes perfect sense for that to be the thing that Pennywise preys on and decides to, really like he just tries to bring up that insecurity in Marge in the most terrifying way possible.
Yes.
So, yeah, I love I loved that. I loved playing with that, and the filming of it was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. But like I
The
said, like when I saw those episodes, I was like, whoa.
Did it scare you?
It was messed up for sure. There were some
Yeah.
things in this show. I talked to Clara, like the pickles, like that's like
Yeah.
some crazy horror movie stuff. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I honestly just want to say too, like I've talked to a lot of your cast. Like I I'm a filmmaker myself, and I've worked in horror. Like I've done some short horror films. Like I'm a big
That's
fan
so
of the
cool.
genre. Welcome to Derry is like probably the most cinematic like television show I've ever watched in my life. Like
Oh my gosh.
it doesn't it like when you were watching playbacks of
Yeah.
the premiere, like how good does it look? Like it's
It
crazy,
looks
right?
so good. It looks so good. Andy's just so amazing. And all the directors. I'm so glad that you feel that way because I feel that way too.
Feels like there's like
Um,
8 movies. Like it feels like
yeah,
8 movies.
yeah, and it gets better.
Oh,
It
it
gets better.
does. Um, Two more super quick questions. This Marge is very different from past characters you've played, but at the end of the day, Matilda, it's all storytelling. So I'm curious if you bring past kind of mindsets or preparations from something like the Santa Claus or like Flora Ulysses to something like It Welcome to Derry, or are they complete separate once you wrap them, so to speak?
That's a good question. I think that everything's related. Like I think that everything I learn on a set helps me with the next thing I do. And I always learn something. Like even if, yeah, without fail, I always learn something new. There's always something valuable to take from every set, every character. So, yeah, I think like a lot of the tools that I use in my, developing my character and things like that, a
Mhm.
lot of the personalization that goes into it. For me, I like to journal a lot. I have a journal for Marge that is where I journal in character and kind of like just setting up her backstory and going in depth into scenes and things, which is something I learned on Station 11
Yes.
and is something that I've taken with me through all of my characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's awesome that every character has kind of helped me with
Mhm.
this character.
Absolutely. And then last quick question, I'm very curious to ask you about this because there's a lot at play scale wise with It Welcome to Derry because you can look at it two different ways. This is how I think about it, right? And I'm curious if you thought about this at all because they're two different things. So, one, horror movies, everything in that kind of spooky creature genre right now, whether it's TV shows, films, it's huge, right? There's some of the biggest kind of movies that come out are horror movies, right? It's been like that for the last 5 years. So, you're working
Absolutely.
on, a show of that genre that's very popular. So, that's one thing, right? You look at the other side of things, you are part of a Stephen King, Pennywise universe, right? You are part of a big universe, you are part of a big franchise. So with It Welcome to Derry, there's two things at play. You're part of like, the horror movie kind of fandom and culture at a time where it's like elevated at like crazy. And then you're part of a Stephen King kind of universe with It Pennywise the Clown. Do you think about those things together or those two different things you kind of think about? Because it's interesting, right? Because they are two separate things.
That's true. That's true. They are two separate things, but I think they feed each other.
Yes.
And so I do kind of think of them as like the same thing.
Mhm.
It is just wild to me.
Yes.
This world of horror is, I've been getting into horror a little bit more. I think like the way that suspense is created is such an interesting thing to study, and like Andy just does such a good job of that. So I think horror as a genre is so cool. And I love how people get so excited and invested by it. And then, like you said, this whole world of Stephen King, I had no idea.
Mhm.
His universe that he's created is just this whole world. It's wild and it's so cool. Like people, I love how invested into the lore people are, and like how I feel like as a fan, as an actor, as anyone, you can kind of immerse yourself in that world.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that feeds into the whole greater horror world too. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been really, really cool to be a part of it, and
Mhm.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you'll continue to be part of it as episodes of It Welcome to Derry come out on HBO Max week to week.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You do such an amazing job as Marge, and I love the show,
Thank
so I'm
you.
so happy for you. Congratulations. Matilda, it was so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It was so great.
I really, really appreciate that. And it was great. And there's an Instagram account. I think it's your name, right? Matilda Lawler. If people want to keep up to date with everything. You all can finally post BTS, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. There's some like gory BTS that's all fake blood, obviously,
Mhm.
but I think I really want to share it. So yeah, stay tuned.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Pop Turn of youtube.com/Pop Turn for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Matilda Lawler, who plays Marge in It Welcome to Derry on HBO Max, and Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.